This is Rating Descending,
where we watch IMDb's Worst 250 so you don't have to.
My name is Abigail Warren.
And I'm Michelle St. Clair.
This week we watched Spy Kids 3D Game Over. Carmen's caught in a virtual reality game designed by the kids' new nemesis, the toy maker. It's up to Junie to save his sister and ultimately the world. Let's watch. This week, we have a very special friend joining us. His name is... What's his name again?
It's Gaden Sousa.
Oh, okay.
Sousa.
Sousa, yeah.
Gaden Sousa.
Sousa. I've gotten that a lot in my life.
He's a filmmaker. He's a writer.
Thank you.
He's just an overall good egg.
Thank you. Long-time listener as well.
Hell yeah.
Huge fan of the podcast.
Huge fan of the podcast.
Not a
Listened
friend,
since day
just
one.
a fan.
Just a fan.
We keep him at an arm's length.
That's
We
right.
can't
Never
let him
met
get
you,
cocky.
either of you before.
Yeah, but you look great. You don't look anything like we expected.
That's right.
What did you think
I'm very
Gaden
good
looked
at that.
like?
I think he looked 7 foot tall, hair down to his knees, balls even deeper, and just
Deeper than the knees?
deeper than the knees. Famous for their depth.
Yep.
And just the most beautiful moustache you've ever seen in your life. And I think I got most of those right.
Yeah, pretty much.
So funny.
Yeah.
I thought you were just going to be a floating orb of light and energy, to be honest. Like a blue
nice.
floating ball. But here you are in human form.
Human form.
No, we've known
7 feet
Gaden.
tall.
Yeah. No, you're a 7 foot tall orb.
That's right.
No, we've had the pleasure of knowing Gaden for actually, I realized 2 years almost exactly since we moved to
geez.
Melbourne. And he's a longtime pal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We know each other.
We do.
Yeah, it's been great. So yeah, what's your whole deal, man?
My shtick?
Yeah.
Well,
Explain yourself.
Like Abby
Fuck
said,
you.
I'm a filmmaker and a writer. So I just graduated from VCA, which is the Victorian College of the Arts, to any international listeners. I think some Australian people would know that.
I don't know what they know.
No, we don't know what they know. There's no way of knowing.
Abby knows what they know, but she doesn't share.
That's
Yeah.
right. Well,
I'm
that's-
very tight-lipped.
She's the uni mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're famously not verbose at
Famously,
all.
don't like to chat,
No,
which is why I host a podcast.
that is
Yeah.
exactly right.
Well, I mean, sometimes we do try and have a little chat, and Abby's like,
No.
"Cut that shit out. Shut the fuck up. Cut it out."
I do have to say, Gaden, if you're going to be on this podcast, you better start talking quickly because that's all we're about.
Gotta get in. I'm gonna speed it up.
Yeah,
I'm a pretty fast.
You got to speed it up. How fast can you
talker.
talk? You just
I
got
can
to
talk
talk
really
right
fast.
now.
I
Yeah,
wonder
yeah.
if anyone's ever recorded me. I listened to
He's slowing down.
I heard a
man.
fact the other day that someone went around recording a famous actress and said
Oh.
that they spoke 700 words a minute or something.
Oh my god.
I know.
What?
Someone figured that out.
Impossible.
Wasn't that
How many
weird?
words is that per second?
It's absurd. That's probably me be getting it a little bit wrong, but it's a lot. It was a lot.
That's 11.6 words a second.
Surely not.
That
Spoke
cannot-
it was kind of like the old timey Hollywood, so she kind of had that drawl, like that New Yorker drawl kind
The
of thing. you know?
the mid Atlantic accent.
Yes.
Oh, how are you gonna do it to me, huh? You know, she was walking down the street and then she was
right.
walking up my thighs.
That's right. But anyway, the films that I made.
Wait, I think that the people that talk the fastest in the entire world are realtors at an auction.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially the ones in the Midwest.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
can't. What's that fucking Strazak? That fucking film by Werner Herzog. It doesn't matter. There's a film by Werner Herzog.
see the baby.
I would like to see the baby.
My favorite movie of his is Bounty Hunting is a very complicated profession.
We've gotten completely derailed.
Well,
We're
I
gonna
was
get
just
back
gonna
to
say,
Gaden.
do you think when he made Grizzly Man, he was like, I would like to see the bear.
Yeah, I'd like to see the bear baby.
No, but so yeah, I'm a filmmaker. I graduated from honors at VCA, and I have a film that everyone can watch soon, which is very exciting. It's called Dream Again. I made it with Michelle.
Yeah, I was involved. I edited it. That's my day job.
Yeah,
And
night job.
hey,
pretty good at it.
I heard about it and I went, sounds pretty good.
Yeah,
Sounds great.
yeah, it is.
I'm
pretty
actually yet
good.
to watch it, but I can't wait.
But yeah, so I started as a performer and thought for a little bit that I was going to do that, but I always wrote the start of novels as a kid.
Okay.
I would come home. My mum's house was across from this big arboretum, and I would run home after playing
What?
in it. Like an arboretum.
A what?
You know, arboretum? Do you know arboretum?
No.
I
Okay.
guess
They're
it has something to do with trees.
It's
Yeah.
It's an
Arbor?
Armadale thing, man.
Oh,
We
it's
only
an
have
arboretum.
arboretums
Yeah.
it was like a big cultivated like piece of land where they had like there was like a grotto and there was like a little man-made lake with like a little waterfall that you could press.
You're just describing a place.
Or a
What? I
park.
don't
It was like
what
but it was, like,
defines
across-
it?
What?
I don't know why.
That's exactly what
was
he's
just
trying to
called the
describe, a
Arboretum.
place.
Yeah.
I know. I just don't. It just sounds like you're describing misc.
Yeah.
It's like there's a word for misc place with loose
It's
things.
like a fancy park.
What? Just a fancy park
Just
with
a fancy
with
park.
a waterfall?
Yeah,
That's
it had
a
like
very
little
fancy
waterfall. It was
park.
cool.
Armadale has
crazy.
far more money than we thought.
Yes.
yeah.
Oh,
The
The Tablelands is rolling in it.
What's the? I was gonna say, what's the real estate? As if I could afford a house. What's the rent like?
You're planning. Oh, I have no idea. It was cheap. All my friends
Sure.
lived there after school.
Is
and
the
it was
film
very
industry
cheap.
doing pretty good?
It's thriving. Yeah, right. Like I would always have these crazy ideas that I probably like copied a lot of things off like Avatar: The Last Airbender and like just stole ideas from things like that.
fucking
Oh, that's
thief.
how
And
you
I-
got to do it, man.
Yeah, and
No,
I
you're a
did.
fucking thief.
I did kung fu for a long time, so I would write about being like
Ah.
a special kung fu
I
person.
love that.
Yeah.
I also wrote a lot of stories as a kid. I submitted them a lot to DMAG, and I
Oh,
won a bunch
wow.
of competitions through DMAG.
Well, I wasn't as accomplished as that.
And I also for my year 12, don't tell anybody. This is just between you and me and
this doesn't leave this
the
room
listeners.
nor this digital file.
Yes, it will never get out.
In year 12 for my creative writing in for English, I basically just stole a Jack Finney short story about parallel universes that all these people are sitting in a dark room comparing parallel worlds that they've been in. Got like fucking 20 out of 20 on that bad
Nice.
boy. Yeah, really.
Good
So I believe
plagiarism.
in plagiarism
Yeah.
for sure.
In
Very
my
good stuff.
final English thing, I wrote a story that was basically. Do you guys remember the scene in Donnie Darko where he's talking about like how the Smurfs are ridiculous or whatever? I'm pretty sure that's what the scene is. He's
I've
like
never
in a
seen it.
field. Okay, well,
Yeah, sorry.
do you remember Donnie Darko?
I've seen Donnie Darko, but I don't remember that scene.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
listeners, it's just down to you and me. It's just us. It's just
And
we're in the
Jake
zone.
Gyllenhaal.
We're in the zone.
It's just you and the
he's one of the
digital file,
listeners.
baby.
Guys, you got to remember the scene where he's talking about the Smurfs. He's like describing them, and he's like letting a generation who didn't grow up with the lore of the Smurfs know the lore of the Smurfs. Yeah, I did that, but with Winnie the Pooh. I was like totally inspired by, but not taking directly from, you know? So I thought it was like being clever and creative, even though it was very clearly edgy teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is me reacting to the audience laughing and going, oh, Michelle, thanks, guys. You know,
That was a beautiful moment to witness.
That
yeah.
was stunning. Gaden, what kind of experience do you have with bad movies more than anything?
With bad movies, I think my dad.
Well, you've been a student, so you've made many.
I've made many,
Yeah.
and I've watched a lot of other people's bad movies. Very many. And I've also had the pleasure of people coming to me with their bad movies, being like, "What do you think?"
Yeah.
That's a unique student experience. But
It's unique yet universal.
yes,
It's
yes.
universal.
I think like as a kid I would just watch anything, and my dad always instilled in me like my dad just like you can sit him down in front of anything and he'll just enjoy it. Like if
Yeah.
it's
you
just
like
a
leave
movie,
him in
he'll
random
watch it.
places as well.
Oh,
you can just sit
100%.
him down anywhere.
Absolutely.
Just sit
And,
him
like,
down in an
give him a
arboretum.
phone.
He'd be pretty happy.
You know those people that come with like their kids and prams and they're just like looking at an iPad? You can just do that with my dad.
Wait, what?
Like people that don't want to like interact with their kids, they give them like an iPad.
Right.
And they just like look at that. But you can just do that with my dad.
right.
Just
you
give him a movie
give him
and
an
he'll just
iPad.
watch. You give him an
Give the
iPad
man
with a
an
movie
iPad.
on it,
I
and
feel that's the
he's
thing.
happy.
When we were children, that was becoming they're like, oh, just give your kid an iPad. That still happens, but I do think it is kind of morphing into like, oh, just give your boomer family like Facebook.
Definitely.
Just like, take them to the
They'll
park,
be
open up
fine.
Facebook for them. They can look at a few complete disinformation memes. It'll be great.
They'll be happy.
They'll be entertained
They'll
for
be happy.
hours.
And so yeah, I watched a lot of. I think I watched a lot of movies that at the time, obviously, I didn't think were bad, but have now gone on and be like, oh. But I also think the way I watch movies is I always try and like judge them on their merit and what they're trying to do. And
Lame.
and so I often find myself when someone's like, I hate that movie or I don't like that movie. I'm like, well, it has some interesting things going on.
Oh, so
Even
you're
if
like
it's
you're the
something I don't
angel's
like.
advocate, you know?
Yeah, I try to be.
Yeah. I like how it's not God's advocate. It's the angel.
Yeah.
Angel v
Polar
devil.
opposite.
Yeah, that's good.
He's doing well.
Hey, God's the
He's off on
middleman
his own.
here, right?
He's the
On this-
middleman.
yeah,
He's in
on
the
this-
middle of this like morality scale.
Yeah, on the spectrum. You've got
Interesting.
angel, you've got devil, you got God right in the center,
This
baby.
is an interesting perspective. I like your take on theology.
Hey, we can talk about that for hours on end.
Yeah,
but
spiritual
tonight
in
we're
here.
talking about Spy Kids 3,
Oh,
alright?
pivot!
Thanks, man.
Spicy.
Yeah.
Yum yum yum. Feed it to me.
No.
Sorry. Yum yum.
Straight up block. Spy Kids is, I think, for every millennial child, just embedded in childhood, in nostalgia. The whole franchise, I think, is really beloved by most people our age.
Yeah,
So Spy Kids 1 and 2,
definitely.
fond memories. But Spy Kids 3, I realized during this experience, I never watched it.
Really?
This was
Really?
my first time watching it.
Wow.
I have a memory, obviously, of seeing the first and second one in cinemas, and I think I
Yeah.
mistook seeing the second one at IMAX as being the third one, but it wasn't. It was Spy
I
Kids 2.
think a lot of people mush together the second and third one in their head because the first one, very distinct movie.
Yeah.
Really great, really well made, incredible production design. Robert Rodriguez really showcasing why he's good. And then, we get here. Some of that's not really coming across anymore.
It's not traveling as much.
Robbie, maybe you got to sort of
Robbie boy.
pull it together a little bit more.
Never before have I seen such a criminal use of the green screen.
Yeah, I mean, that is really what stood out to me upon watching it this time. Like, I watched it as a kid. I remember seeing it. I'm a little younger than you guys. So I never saw one or two in the cinema. You know when, like, you could take home 3D movies and they would come with the red and blue glasses?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Before it was the Ray-Bans, but
That's
shades.
right. Yes.
It was the
Just like
white
this-
with the red and blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like white cardboard.
Yeah.
It
It's like
was. It was
flimsy.
paper glasses.
And
Yeah.
it looked like just like cellophane.
Yeah, and also it would be like, don't worry, your brain will merge it together. You won't even see the red and the blue. It's just
always
the whole
there.
thing is a purple wash.
And I definitely unlocked a memory in watching this film of watching it with those at home. And like the moments that are like, oh, you gotta put on the glasses and like doing it.
Yeah, I remember
I
the
remember
distinct
that.
experience, not just of this, but of I feel like a handful of movies doing that of like
absolutely.
in text instructing the audience to put on the glasses.
It's crazy.
Otherwise, how will we know what to do?
I actually have a lot of questions around the 3D medium because I know they really pushed for it circa 2003, but in my world, from my memory, 3D is not a format that has really taken off to any notable success. I
Yeah.
don't think anyone really enjoys 3D.
Well, like, you gotta remember that it had a massive, like, yes, in 2003 it was like being pushed, and then it kind of died, and then Avatar came out by James Cameron, and that was like the movie that everyone saw in 3D. It was like the movie that he was
I
making.
know
Like,
the box office says otherwise, but you cannot tell me everyone saw that movie. So
money.
there's no plot beats to it. There's no cultural references to it.
I
There
know,
it is.
I know.
It was not
but
seen.
it made like nearly $3 billion.
No, it bombed. It's a fucking tax funnel.
It's
all
like
right.
it's a hoax. It's a
Money
conspiracy.
laundering. Al
because-
Capone
It's actually not a real film.
made $3 million.
Has anyone actually seen Avatar?
No,
You realize
no
one day
one's-
no one
no
actually
one's
ever
actually
saw
seen
it.
No one saw
My
it.
God,
James
it's an
Cameron's
empty
lying.
file.
He never made it.
You
He
buy
just,
the
like, lived in
DVD
Newcastle,
and
New
it's just
Zealand.
it's empty. It's an
Yes.
empty slot or it's a blank DVD. And then like when you play it, it's just James Cameron being like, "Hello."
These
Like,
are all my
you're part of
crazy
something
ideas.
bigger than just you.
But like that brought because he
But that was
made
a
this
different
whole-
kind of 3D.
It was.
And what we're
It
forgetting
was.
as well is the big
That's
push
true.
for
That's true.
originally 3D in like the 50s, which was also the red and blue.
Yeah.
It's just a fad. It's just
Yeah.
trendy.
It comes and goes.
But it sucks.
But
It really
not
sucks.
It really ruined films post 2009 after the Avatar boom because like lots of films had to be like reshot
Yeah.
to be 3D, and it made like all these films cost like $1 billion. And Alice in Wonderland is like the worst perpetrator.
Oh,
Yeah.
Christ.
That film just looks awful because they wanted to make it look 3D
This-
as well as
Yeah,
it
and I
just
think-
looking awful.
Look, the charm of Spy Kids 1 is the practical effects. It's all
Yeah,
the weird props. It's all of the
absolutely.
weird set designs. It just
Absolutely.
feels really
Doing the
tangible.
makeup of it?
Yeah,
It's so good.
but this being entirely green screen, you're like, you can obviously tell it almost takes away entirely the magic of it. And it's just garish. Like, it's awful to look at. I was almost blinded. I almost had to take like a break just to like rest my eyes.
I was somewhat drunk watching it, and yeah,
I'm
it was
somewhat drunk right now, baby.
It was hard to follow a little bit wine drunk. It was not. It was very confusing and very ugly.
Trust me, putting together the overview, I was like, there was so much more in this film than I remembered, like that I could even conceive of. I was like, there's so much to cram in.
But also at the same time, the plot he has to go through 5 stages, all of which he mostly just ambles through.
Yes.
Right? Like that is
Nothing really happens.
most of the second act. It just
Absolutely.
sort of happens upon several locations.
And let's just say it now. Spy Kids 1, fantastic film.
Yeah.
Yeah, masterpiece. Great.
You go back to it, it's almost flawless. It just holds up perfectly. And also, like, the character of Carmen is fantastic. There's a lot of depth to her. She's really strong. You find out she wets herself, and it's like this really interesting reveal where you're like, oh my God, like, she's also got weaknesses. It's not just Junie that's weak.
Which is why the choice in this one of you've got Junie and Carmen, and you're like, we're gonna do a thing. We're gonna double down on one
of them. Has to be saved.
You have Alexa Vega, and you have, what's his name, Daryl Sabara, Daryl Sabara, and you'd go, why don't we just shelve Alexa Vega for 90% of the movie and really double down on Junie, the least charismatic child?
I do have to wonder if it's because he was younger, so it would feel more like a kid's film.
Maybe that's
because if you're following her, it might feel more like a teen film than a kid's film. And I'm just wondering if that was the reasoning behind it. Because when I watched it, I thought Robert Rodriguez, he did so well with Carmen's character. I don't think it's like a gender issue. I honestly think that it's just them trying to be feasible with the ages in the film and trying to make sure that all the cast were a certain age.
Well, they were also trying to give Junie an arc. Like at the end of the second one, he was like, I'm out. And then at the beginning of this one, he's like, I'm here. I'm a gumshoe. I'm a private eye. I mean, he's not talking like that, but that's the...
he's kind of talking like that. Yeah. It's just not landing.
I love that choice. He's like, hey, I'm in a noir,
I think they really tried to make it a noir, but I felt like that whole opening sequence was so unbearable flat.
Yes.
It sucks. The faux intellectual dialogue was killing me.
And it's also just ugly. Like, it's grey in not an interesting, like, noir way. It's just grey and flat and it's just so awful.
Spy Kids 2, also, it's not as good as Spy Kids 1, but it has so many memorable moments. It's got Steve Buscemi delivering one of the best lines ever. Michelle, can you deliver it for me now?
Oh God, I don't remember it word for word.
Do your Buscemi.
Come on, Michelle.
You're on the spot now, Michelle.
Does God also stay in heaven because he too fears what he's created?
Very close.
That's a good line.
It's about it. Yeah. It's a raw ass fucking line.
Yeah.
But there's also other great moments that are in that fucking movie that are wild as hell. Every frame of that movie is memeable, even though it's not as good as Spy Kids 1.
The opening sequence at the ball where he's dancing ballet with the president's daughter.
Extraordinary.
Yeah, that whole sequence is so laugh out loud funny.
Yeah,
like it's
great.
still, as an adult, you're still chuckling over it.
Absolutely.
So
it's funny. The jokes are sharp.
Yeah.
And like Robert Rodriguez really made these films in this franchise with such good intentions. He's like, I want to make like films for my kids to be able to watch and enjoy and love. And so that's why I think, like Spy Kids is so special to a bunch of fucking millennials, is that it came from such good intentions from a good director with a really fun plot. And then you get Spy Kids 3.
Definitely.
And then we're here.
Yes.
With this film now.
And it's interesting because Spy Kids 1 also plays into all of his strengths at the time of like being this kind of like from the ground, scrapping his way up.
He came from the earth.
Yeah, exactly. Like making a movie for $6,000 and like it's got all that practical stuff.
Underground, just completely encased in dirt.
That's
making
right.
movies.
Dirty.
And they're like,
covered in
Robert,
dirt.
you're filthy. You're
Yes.
fucking filthy.
My question, Gaden, is did you wear your cardboard 3D glasses for this viewing experience?
I don't have
You
them
didn't
here.
I really
tap
should have
into the
gotten us a
nostalgia.
3D copy
I
of this.
bet you though that my dad still has those. Like I have no doubt. I think we had like a Barbie movie that still
which
has it in
one?
them. I think
Was it the
maybe-
Nutcracker?
Yeah, maybe the Nutcracker.
That was a
or
good
the
one.
Swan
That was a
Lake.
good one.
Yeah.
I do
the Swan
think
Lake
if
a lot
Doctor
as a
Who showed
kid.
anything, it's that those old 3D glasses, kind of stylish.
Oh yeah, they're
Kind of a
cool.
look. You know, like
Yeah.
the Groucho Marx glasses?
Uh-huh.
Kind of a vibe. Kind of a style. You know, kind of a trend.
Yeah, I think Groucho pulled it off.
Yeah.
don't-
But I think the big schnoz and the moustache with the glasses.
This is Abby trying
a
to tell
vibe.
you she's buying Groucho Marx.
I thought you said
Sure.
it's Abby trying to tell you she's bi. I'm like, well, yeah.
Wait, what?
Groucho Marx is the symbol of bi. The bi flag.
Groucho Marx is biculture.
It's bi culture. Duck soup is bi culture. I'm gonna give you guys a rough overview
Hell
of this
yeah.
film,
Yeah,
so we can just get into the.
I really
nitty-gritty.
need to be.
So many things I
I
want
need
to
to
talk
be
about.
reminded what happened.
Well, I've done my best, but really I had to choose between a couple of different things because I could keep it only so succinct.
Of course.
Also, I just wanted to mention a couple of facts about the film. It was made in 2003 and it has 4.3 stars on IMDb. We're still in the 4.3
We're still
stars.
here.
Obviously, it was written and directed by Robert Rodriguez, and as mentioned, the whole franchise came out of the idea of him wanting to make films for kids. He said that the idea behind it was that he wanted a product that felt like it was written, directed, and produced by a kid. And his initial plan for that type of film was that children initially not knowing that their parents were spies until they had to save their captured parents, and an antagonist with a juvenile fantasticism of Willy Wonka. Designs such as the thumbs were drawings that Robert Rodriguez did as a kid. So this was really something that he pulled out of his childhood and he made with his own kids in mind. And there's lots of references to his family. I mean, even Danny Trejo Trejo is his cousin. Like it's all really family focused.
Family,
guys.
As Emily Osment says in the movie, everyone is
your
family.
Everyone is family.
And he's like, that doesn't make sense.
And he's right.
Yeah, he's right.
Also, just quickly, the returning actors, as I just said, Emily Osment was in the Hannah Montana movie, so this is her second appearance.
One of my first crushes.
Sylvester Stallone, baby.
From Driven.
Yep.
It still astounds me just how many of these movies have returning
Technically,
actors.
this isn't his second appearance. It's his second, third, fourth, and fifth, and
Oh,
sixth.
that's true.
Oh, that's a very, very good point.
He was 4 different characters, so you could make the case that Stallone has been on this list 5 times.
Yeah, and I have to say, it's really foreboding for Spy Kids 4, which we will be doing later.
Yeah.
Because Jeremy Piven is the antagonist, also playing 4 characters.
Wow. I understand that you forget that he's playing 4 people because he really molds into those characters incredibly
It's pure method.
well.
Pure method.
He did
I
this
didn't even
thing
recognize
with some of them that made it hard to tell it was Stallone, where he enunciated. It was
very true.
It surprised me just how well he could enunciate 4 years after Driven.
Here's the overview. Junie Cortez has retired from the OSS and works as a private detective. When his sister Carmen goes missing on a mission inside of a new video game created by the toy maker, he's pulled back in for one last mission. One last quest. He must beat level 5 to win the game and defeat the toy maker. In the game, Junie meets 3 beta testers, Francis, Arnold, and Rez. He brings his grandfather, Valentine, into the game to help him. Junie fights a girl called Demetra in a robot battle during level 1. He participates in a mega race in level 2. For level 3, he has to fight his friend Arnold, but Demetra sacrifices herself for Junie. At level 4, Junie finds Carmen, who helps them through a lava-filled gorge. For the last level, level 5, Junie summons all of the Spy Kids franchise faves to help them defeat the toy maker and his minions. The Cortezes forgive the toy maker and they all celebrate together. That is the best I could do.
No,
that was a fucked thing to try and
That's
summarize.
everything that happened. That's pretty damn good.
I had to leave out the whole plot line about like the grandpa forgiving the toy maker
God,
because
that
I
was
just couldn't make it quite make
Okay,
sense
but,
describing
like,
it.
That's because they couldn't make it make sense.
I'll come back to it,
describing
but Ricardo Montalban is one of my favorite bits of the movie, even though he's barely in it and very clearly is not in a suit with them, is just his head is superimposed onto a CG figure.
Insane.
Let's talk about that.
Absolutely.
The thing that I
we'll
had
just go straight in.
the thing that I had to leave out of this overview is the whole storyline with the grandpa.
Yeah.
Who is played by
Ricardo Montalban.
yeah.
From like Fantasy Island and Wrath of Khan.
And from those ads where he talks about rich Corinthian leather.
Yes, which they reference in this.
They do, and it was fucking fun.
Fun.
That's the thing.
Weird.
This film was terrible to look at, but there was also a couple of fun references and jokes in there that at least I was like, well, that was a
I think there's some fun things going on. It just
you still had to
looks
look at it.
yeah, exactly. If it could be like a podcast that I listen to, it'd be all right.
This would have been great audio.
Exactly,
This would have been
Guys,
fantastic.
No, it wouldn't. No one ever describes what's happening.
Are you kidding me? The line of everyone's your family is
do you think that would
absolutely
track?
solid.
The closest thing to a description, and I wrote this down because it was so unhinged, is when he first gets into the world, he is sitting there, he shoots through a tunnel, loose shapes. It's almost like the Matrix characters going down, but instead it's just loose shapes and they're flying at him because it's 3D,
yeah.
you know. And then he falls, he hits this weird ground. While he's lying there, he goes, ugh, tap, tap, tap. It sounds like he's tapping like an empty sort of metal-y plastic container and goes, computer generated. Then he stands up, looks around at what definitely looks like Disney's Toontown and goes, low res. And then Carmen starts talking in his mind. There's no way that I'm able to scrutinize what the fuck is going on from the lines computer generated and low res, and then she can just talk in his mind. No one else can talk in each other's minds. I don't know why he's in Toontown. He leaves it instantly. It's
not
so
very important.
weird as an intro.
I also found it funny that he said low res, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
It looks really bad.
Did you guys notice how one of the characters is called Rez, and he goes, "Oh, hi, Rez."
Oh, I didn't notice
I
that.
did
That's
not.
kind of
That's why
fun,
you're the
actually.
writer. That's
You're right.
That's too quick for me.
Yeah, there's nothing quick about this script, man. All right. But let me finish with Ricardo
yes.
Montalban, because we really
Okay.
got deviated there. Like a septum. He is one of like the best characters in it because he's a fucking iconic actor.
Yeah, he's good.
He as an actor was in a wheelchair in the later part of his life due to an accident with his spine in like the 80s. And I kind of enjoyed he shows up in the second one as Antonio Banderas' annoying father-in-law in a wheelchair. And then they end up explaining his backstory, how the toy maker caused him to be in this wheelchair, and how Junie is afraid that his grandpa is on this like mission for revenge. But you find out at the end that his grandpa wanted to thank the toy maker because he also learnt so much from being fucking stuck in a wheelchair.
Him trying to convince the toy maker is one of my favorite scenes because all I want is Ricardo Montalban to do what he did, which is just list things, because he's like, you need to, no, I will teach you things. Humility, spirituality, understanding. And then I want him to just keep going with forgiveness, togetherness, strength.
That's what you're going to fall asleep to.
Chivalry. It's just insane reading the dictionary in random order.
Rich, Corinthian, leather. But I love how the plot twist is he's not out for revenge, he's out to thank him, because it's a family film about family and togetherness and forgiveness, because everyone is your family according to Gertie.
Literally they do forgive every villain, which is kind of neat. Some of the things he says in this movie, I know he is in a wheelchair, but they have deeply troubling implications for how the movie conceptualizes people with physical disabilities.
Oh, yeah.
Including when he's the reason that he comes into the game is that Junie is able to like bring someone in, and he's like going through his family and trying to figure it out. Then he sees his grandfather and he's like, oh, cool, grandpa. Oh, he's been in a wheelchair, so he can't use half his body, which means the other half of his body is twice as strong.
Yeah.
And pulls him in.
And then he's immediately gifted super legs.
Yeah.
Which just felt
weird.
a little weird.
Yeah, and then he's like, I can't
think.
go back, Junie. Here I am powerful, strong.
Yeah.
It just
Feels a little weird.
Also, he's like, Junie, don't look at me like you did out there. I'm like, Junie was like, oh, grandpa, he's cool. I want to bring him in.
That'll
He loves
work.
his grandfather.
Yeah.
He was never like, he sucks.
But you're right. The whole thing of like these strange, like the jargon and the strange slang terms where he's like, low res. Like a lot of the Spy Kids franchise, they just throw around technical jargon about gadgets and the world, and then we're meant to understand it.
But in like with those, I'm like, oh, it's fun. It's like what kids know. In this, I'm like, I think Rodriguez has seen one video game.
Okay, so that gets to... I made notes while I was watching, so I
Sure.
didn't forget. And one of my notes is just... Does anyone understand how video games work who made this film?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone understands what a level is,
Oh, yeah.
nor how games look, play, or what they do.
Yeah, I love how in films
At
there's
all.
always 4 or 5 levels and that's it. Like
Like,
this is
what?
mad Raw 1 vibes.
Yeah.
Where in Raw 1 at the beginning, you got to watch it, Gaten.
You
It's
guys,
still...
you guys have to have me over. I don't want to watch it without you.
Yeah,
You guys
okay,
are
we'll have
the
a Raw
number
1
Raw
viewing
1
party.
fans
After
in the
this, are you
world.
free for like 3 hours?
Always. For Raw 1, schedule clear.
At the beginning, like the whole thing is that Ra 1 and the villain of it come out of this video game, but the video game has like 3 levels and it takes 20 minutes to play.
Yeah, which if you remember, like level 2 was 1 fight or something. Like,
Yeah, and I'm like, if you bought this game for like $88 and it took you 25 minutes to play, I'd be fucking annoyed.
It's like buying Street Fighter, where instead of it being like, oh, it's like 40 guys and the story has like 18 levels, it's like there's 2 characters, one is unplayable, and you fight him 3 times, and it's $80 retail.
The toy maker's whole plan is to trap children in the game because it's so good to play.
God.
And I'm like, it's 5 levels of dog shit. Why does... This isn't how games work.
Can we quickly go through the levels? Because level
Yeah.
1 is loose hills. There doesn't seem to be any objective because to leave it, he has to go hit a target that doesn't like run away.
Yes.
So it's just loose space.
And also, weird frogs come along.
oh yes,
And it's like, so it's really exciting if I'm 2 in 2003, I
Yeah.
guess.
What does he say? He's like, like toads on a.
toads on a stick, toads on a pogo.
Yeah, it's like pogo toads. I think
Pogo
that's what it is.
toads?
Pogo toads.
Pogo toads is fun there.
That's what
Yeah.
he says. I have to say that, wait, I thought that bit was level 1.
Yeah.
But when I went through the whole thing, all of the overviews were mentioning that level 1 is his fight with Demira.
Oh,
What?
So, because I watched this with my girlfriend,
Yeah.
long-term side to the podcast.
Is Brooklyn here with us in the house?
Brooklyn?
Hello, I watched the movie.
What did you think, Brooklyn?
I thought it was amazing. No, you didn't. Don't embarrass me. She loved it. Sorry. And then she walks boobily away. We were confused because the fight, we were like, oh, that's level 2. And then they go further away. And we're like, oh, that's level 2? What's
Yeah,
going
well,
on?
I thought they said we're going to punch you to the dark side of the moon because
Yeah.
that's where level 2 is.
Yes,
Yeah.
so did
But
I.
this was all listing the fight with Demira when he meets her as the
Oh.
first fight.
So
Because
this-
So Toontown's like a tutorial.
it is. It's meant
Yeah.
to be a tutorial. And then he
Right.
goes to the dark side
That's
of the
not-
moon to do the first level.
So level 1 is one single mech fight.
Yeah.
So, which, by the way,
An insane fight.
Yeah.
Insane.
absolutely crazy. It's a full body suit thing that he is standing on top of in a platform. He seems to both control it with his body, and it seems to equally control him with
Yes.
its body.
And he
terrifying, really scary.
and he can't fall off even though there's no catchment around him. And my roommate, who I was watching it with, James, just kept going, why isn't he falling off? What's going on? How does that work?
Flying, and then it would just suddenly be parallel. It seems
Yeah.
to be like the best gyroscope you've ever seen. A running complaint, and we'll talk about it again, but he has this like counter of lives, which is explained as every time he
Yes.
takes a lot of damage.
Dude, there's so many components to this film. This is why I
There's
struggled
a
with the overview because I was like,
lot
do I
going
include the
on.
fucking giggles like family? Like, do I include the lives that they have and like the fact that they can all die within this game? Like,
Yeah.
and like, anyway, it doesn't matter.
The lives are also crazy, and again, furthers our theory that Robert Rodriguez has never played a video game because they seem to be, when he takes a very arbitrary threshold of maybe damage or starts falling for long enough, he will lose 1 to infinite lives. There is no sense
Or in the case
consistency.
of the girl he fights, who I've already forgotten the name of.
Demira.
If you spin too much, you'll
Oh,
lose lots of lives.
If you spin too much,
If
she
you
lost all her
spin
lives.
around too much,
He loses
then
a
lost
life
lives.
in several lives in the fight, and he doesn't lose the fight, and then she falls over and she loses. I don't.
Yeah. Also, I also just remembered something else I had to leave out of the fucking overview. The guy.
Yes.
The guy.
Okay.
Yes.
The best part of the movie.
Yes.
Yeah,
Hands
fucking,
down.
Apparently, I'll save that trivia for later. The guy is played by Elijah Wood.
Yes.
I-
Same year as Return of the King.
Yeah, off the back of fucking Lord of the Rings.
What a year. Two trilogy definers.
Incredible. I had completely forgotten that he was in it. And when he rocked up, I got so actively excited.
It's easily the best. It's a really funny sequence. It's
great.
well
I
made.
Yeah,
am the
it's-
guy.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. He's so good.
This video game, for context, the video game has a prophecy that there is the guy, and he's meant to be the guy who's on the poster of the game, who
Which is
is
called Game
quite
Over.
clearly Junie. Like, it's not just like Junie fits it, and that's why they think it's him. Like, it's literally the suit he's wearing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, you go.
No, wait. No, you keep going.
And then
I can't
Elijah
say that
Wood
yet.
shows up, who is taller and doesn't fit the silhouette.
No.
But he's very clearly the guy because he has a faux hook. And we all know that in Spy Kids terms, that means he's cool and hot.
And he's Frodo. Like, imagine watching that in 2003.
Well, they're
being
not like, Frodo.
that would
No,
be
but
great.
every kid in
They
the cinema is like, Frodo!
Yeah.
And then
Me
he's
at home.
immediately killed. Like, he's immediately
Yeah,
eliminated.
He has 99 lives. He's like, I will save it. Like, everyone is like, whoa. It's so funny that he's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to save everything. And he gets electrocuted and loses all of his lives and then goes, oops.
And then it just like explodes.
That was genuinely so funny.
Incredible. And him just being like, I'm the guy.
Yeah.
Perfect in every way.
Exactly what it needed to be.
Yes.
It's so funny. With Sylvester Stallone playing the toy maker, I had never seen Spy Kids 3, but I'd seen him as the toy maker everywhere. Like, I feel like he was a meme on Tumblr for a
He
while.
was only in one place, and that was Spy Kids. Okay,
We're going
we're
back
just,
to Tumblr, man.
We're uncovering how fucking weird your Tumblr front page was. What are you talking about?
Angry
it was all
Beavers
Toymaker.
and Toy Maker only, man. That was my Tumblr.
But what's weird is you keep insisting that was all of Tumblr.
I'm not saying that. I said it was a meme that was probably on Tumblr.
So,
All
some
right?
people were into Doctor Who on Tumblr. Some
Me,
people...
I was the Spy Kids.
You were just
and
like...
then there was Beaver.
Oh,
Maker.
you guys were
Yeah.
super Hulak. Spy Kids 3.
Spy Kids
Only
3,
Sylvester
Angry
Stallone.
Oh,
Beavers.
yeah. Driven, Spy Kids 3. That's my fandom.
No Rocky.
Wait, so are we
So
And
saying,
Expendables.
Rocky 4, Driven, and Spy Kids 3.
are we saying that's the third to Angry Beavers and Spy Kids 3 is Driven?
No,
Oh, okay.
No.
My bad.
you completely misunderstood.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Are you embarrassed?
Oh,
I'm embarrassed.
No, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. You're like a sexy little baby, so I forgive you.
Sexy little baby.
Yeah, I get it.
Hope so Rodriguez knows.
Listeners, being in the room with this it's a lot. It's a lot going on here.
Oh, it's pretty hot though. Right, guys?
Yeah, it is hot.
I mean, I am sweating.
Yeah, it's a hot day in
hot-
Melbourne.
You are dripping with sweat. You are you're almost entirely liquid.
Oh, yeah.
Michelle's just got a rag that she's rinsing over
She's
a bucket
wringing
of
her
her
hair
sweat.
out.
I'm so glad we have a guest who will continue to make me look really cool in front of the audience.
That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for, baby.
So level 2, after the mech fight, level 2 is a race.
It's the mega race.
the mega
Can I
race.
say one more thing about the mech fight just really quickly?
You can.
The bolts that fly off them
Oh,
are
don't.
so funny to me.
They're really funny.
Just the fact that they would be like random bolts and
Yeah.
springs from no discernible place
Just
in the
loosely
robot,
showering everywhere.
just so that you have the 3D effect of bolts flying at your face.
You know,
Extraordinary.
you know when you hit a robot and it just sprays a bunch of nuts and bolts everywhere and washes.
I've watched the kids hit film Robots. All right, I
Nice.
remember a thing or two.
I remember. You remember a thing or two. Audience? Abby is shaking her head. She is admitting to me, oh my God, she's writing it down. She's showing it to me on her iPad. She doesn't remember a single bit of Robots. The classic Robin
Williams, yeah.
and Ewan McGregor hit movie.
Ewan McGregor is in that?
He
Yeah, I
plays
didn't
the
remember
lead
that
guy.
either.
He's
What?
the blue guy. The mega race, which I love because again, like arena fight and race are like side content in Ratchet and Clank. They're not
Yes.
a full fucking level.
Yes.
Then level 3, we'll come back to the race.
Okay,
I just want to
good.
get through the levels
I've got a
quickly.
thing, yeah.
Level 3 is just a like it's the Cyberpunk 2077
Yeah.
beta level. It's just a loose room
Yeah.
with a bunch of programmers.
Yeah.
Level 4 is a lava
It's
pit.
a fiery gorge. That's where they
Yeah.
find Carmen,
Which
which she's
they-
released by the toy maker.
Surf down.
Yeah.
I'm like,
And
that's a
it's-
video game level. And then
Yeah.
level 5 is a room from Tron.
Yeah.
It is a room for Tron.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The worst 5 levels I could possibly think
But
of.
It is insane.
During that mega race, there's
Yeah.
a bit where Junie is basically obviously getting harassed by his competitors, and they tell him to push the button that says "Do not push."
Yes.
And he's like, "Are you sure?" And they're like, "Yeah, just push it, Junie." And he's like, "Okay." And I'm thinking, "You're a fucking private detective. You're the best spy in the world."
Junie's an
and
idiot.
you fucking you fall for that. But he pushes it, and his car starts flipping, and he just CGI is insane. He just kind of gets up very calmly and just kind of runs over it as it's flipping.
Run is generous.
He
ambles.
walks, yeah. He's like trotting over it. He's so calm. He's like, this is fine. Happens every day.
I've got it. I've
Yeah.
trained. This is what all of my detective work is like.
And then he flies off it and grabs onto his competitor's bike, and he's like, hey, grab my hand. And the guy's like, how about a foot? And I'm like, Junie, why are you still so gullible?
The 4 of them appear, by the way, over and over and over again. Like,
Yeah.
it's implied that if he falls off, he'll just lose the race, but they constantly fly off the
This
stage
Yeah.
to come
insane
back.
thing is going on with all
Yeah.
of them. I will say at the start of the race, this is the first note I made. I like how they have tiny cars that fit into the big cars.
Yeah, that's
I
fun.
think that is a good design choice.
That's fun.
I think it's very
it's something
cool.
the kids would like. You'd be like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
It's weird that they didn't start in, like, they get into the little car and then the little car immediately reverses into the big car, but it's still an open cockpit.
What
Yes,
delights you
yes.
about the little cars
I
going
just-
into the big
I
cars?
think-
It seems to tickle you.
I think it's very fun. I think it's like a one bit of tactility where I'm like, yeah, I could see like it's very video gamey, and it also reminds me of Speed Racer.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was
which-
like, Need for Speed
which-
2, baby. I got excited.
Speed Racer, which another note this is just a bad version of Speed Racer. Like
Yeah.
this is trying to do what Speed Racer did to perfection years
Yeah.
later, where it's like it is this insane like CGI everywhere.
Yeah, so Speed Racer
Colours.
owes
Although-
a debt to Rodriguez.
It does.
I have to say,
guess.
the level 2 mega race from Spy Kids 3 over Mad Max Fury Road any day.
Whoa.
Any day,
really?
man.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not only
wow.
controversial, it's wrong.
It's actually
You know, Fury Road was good, but this is better.
This is better.
For sure.
Wow.
'Cause
George
no
Miller,
one,
eat your
no
heart
one
out.
ambled over a flipping car. And
That's
that's
true.
my
Fury Racer
criteria.
is going with her metal arm.
But I have to say before we potentially pivot out, in level 3, the end of it is this like it's meant to be a one-on-one fight. Why the 5 of them only only 2 of them have to fight? Unexplained, undefined. It's weird.
Yeah.
But before they get in the fight, he's about to fight Arnold, who's the shortest of his beta tester companions. And then Arnold immediately turns to him and is like, "Oh yeah, I'm here on a beta tester visa because my I need the treasure for my poverty-stricken family."
We all need the treasure, Arnold.
I'm like, fully Judy's gotta lose. This
Junie is the bad guy
You know
if
what?
he
Fuck
wins.
Carmen. This guy's got
Yeah.
a whole family. He has to take-
trying to defend Pop. It's so American.
I'm on Arnold's side.
Fight in a digital landscape.
It's actually so fucking
For
tragic.
poverty.
Save his family.
Yeah,
from
what
poverty.
happened to Arnold's family,
Also,
man?
Well, I was like, if he's gotta at the end, we've got to see him with the OSS like being held. No, he fully went home.
You think they're gonna remember to tie anything up in this film? You're fucking wrong.
Also, what's a beta tester visa? It's not like a work visa.
my God.
There's a work visa, and it's like, Mama, I'm here. I'll be able to help the family. Do not worry.
Also-
I have a beta tester visa.
I'll play the
I will
game.
go to America. I will
means
win
I'm
the game for
American.
you.
Also, there's only so much we can talk about because we
Sure.
only have so much time.
I know.
But the end of it, they get all of the favorites, all of the best cast members back from the first and second
yeah.
film. You get Steve Buscemi flying in on the fucking flying pig called Sporky.
Incredible
Yeah,
moment. Incredible
amazing.
moment.
Yeah.
That's a different franchise though. They get like the Minion, Mr. Minion,
Floop and Minion.
and they get
That's Monk, right?
They get the
Yeah.
that is,
Watch that-
yeah,
Tony
Shalhoub.
Shalhoub.
I watched that show religiously.
Same.
Wow.
It's yeah.
Oh, I loved
Monk.
Oh.
I think I know what you're getting at. They get Bill Paxton, the theme park.
Yeah,
guy.
they get anyone they can.
And George Clooney's in it
George
again as
Clooney
well.
comes back at the beginning. Yeah,
Which is fun. I love every single one of George Clooney and Devlin's scenes in any of these
They're great.
movies.
They're really, really good.
You're right that they bring everyone back. It's weird to me that they bring the theme park guy back.
Yeah, he was in it for a second at the beginning of the second film.
Also, he doesn't have any special skills. I mean, he proves he can whip a robot, he can topple it, but at
did
the
it.
same time, I'm like, Floop, the mega genius, and the guy with all the giant animals I get, but like, that guy owns a theme park, and that's his special skill.
But it really is like an Avengers Endgame or like Spider-Man,
Yeah.
the new Spider-Man like moment of like, look at all this
Yeah.
IP coming back together,
And
and it's really exciting.
It is, but I have to say, I read the funniest fucking piece of trivia about the end sequence.
Nice.
So,
Please.
do you guys want to hear some trivia?
Do.
Yes, please.
Due to filming schedule conflicts, many of the actors playing characters in the final scene were never on set at the same time and were put together digitally.
Fucking knew it!
Yeah, that checks out.
They're never in the same shot together.
Never.
Ever.
Never.
Clearly, Antonio Banderas was available for one day
Yeah.
and refused to leave LA.
100%. That's pretty much it.
Probably at his house. They just put green screen up around him. That's just what Antonio Banderas does to prepare for his dinner.
Also, I doubt Ricardo Montalban was ever in the same room as Junie Cortez.
Oh, God,
This
no.
piece of trivia confuses me. Steve Buscemi only agreed to make a cameo in the film if Robert Rodriguez personally assured him that he would be able to keep Sporky the flying pig after production was complete.
What?
Everything was
Hang on,
green
wait,
screen,
hang on,
so
wait,
how is he
what?
meant to fucking...
What?
I don't know.
No.
Did he keep a giant pig?
What does he know that we don't?
Steve Buscemi is sitting at
Hang
home
on.
with his flying pig.
There's a lot of steps here. Hang
Oh,
on.
we didn't use any CGI or green screen. What are you talking about?
Oh, no, we spliced the
That
genes
was just
together.
my studio. This is grim. The final live-action film appearance of Ricardo Montalban, which means after such an iconic career, he ended it on Spy Kids 3.
Yeah.
It's a bit rough.
That's a bit rough.
It's not a good role, but it's an iconic role.
It is, yeah.
So-
He will be remembered for it. Do you think
Yeah.
in his obituary it said of Spy Kids fame?
Oh, that's fucking tragic.
Now that's actually a tragedy for
That's
sure.
the whole thing of like indie actors who were in one Marvel movie
Yeah.
and then they die and they're like, "An actor from Moon Knight," and I'm like, don't do this to us, man.
Oh, God,
don't do
that
this.
poor person, yeah.
Sylvester Stallone said in an interview that he asked his kids about the previous Spy Kids movies and if he should accept the role in the third installment. He went on to earn a Golden Raspberry Award for Worst Supporting Actor.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you guys what you thought of his performance. Clearly, the people have spoken.
The people have spoken. I mean, I enjoyed it because it's fucking Sylvester Stallone kind of going 120% in a kid's film.
Right?
He's not good, but he played three strange characters
just
on top of the toy maker.
Very much show the hard limit of his acting.
Yeah, but it's very fun to watch him do it.
I appreciate we watched him reach that limit.
Yes.
You know, you so rarely get to see that on screen.
This fucks me up. All right. Robert Rodriguez wrote the role of the guy with Elijah Wood in mind. The suit that Wood wore was originally one for the character Junie, but they spray painted it silver and sellotaped it to him as it barely fit. In the shot where he is kneeling down talking to the others, he's actually looking at the ground to give the impression that he is towering over everyone. I can't believe they got Junie's suit and spray painted it and sellotaped it on, and it just didn't fit
Tiny
in.
little boy.
Yeah, because I was like laughing when you mentioned that it looked like Junie was in the poster, not
Yeah.
the guy. Because I was like, they kind of
is
just put him in Junie's clothes.
Exact same costume. I mean, at least Elijah Wood was used to not cheating his eyeline, I suppose.
Yeah,
and he
that's
did it
true.
for the little.
Well, he's also a good actor.
yeah, he is. He is.
And this is my favorite piece of trivia I've ever read because it's so useless. Spy Kids 3 was the third installment of the trilogy.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was confused.
Yeah.
I was confused.
That's good to
Yeah.
know.
That's pretty helpful.
Okay, so the budget was $38 million.
That's
Wow.
so much lower than I thought.
Yeah, that
green
is
screen, baby.
really low.
Have you looked at movie budgets now? They're all like fucking Black Widow is all green screen and
Yeah,
it's like
but it's like
$150
quality
million
green
movie.
screen. This is Spy Kids
Some of
3,
it.
It's also
2003.
2003. Fundamentally, like it just looks like a PS2 game.
yeah.
So
it
maybe
really looks like a PS2
It actually,
game.
to
cheap
me,
for a PS2
to
game.
me, it looks like Marble Blast Gold,
does
which
look
was
like
the
that.
game that came on every Mac computer in 2001.
I remember.
I was
remember.
obsessed with
Me
Marble
too.
Blast. You're a little
It's a good
ball
game.
rolling around a fantastical,
No, that
vibrant
sounds fun.
world.
What makes it interesting is you actually don't control the ball. You are following the perspective of the ball, but
you're
you actually
shifting the
control
world.
the level.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I loved that game. That
Yeah.
was such a
That
good
sounds
game.
cool.
Really great.
So for
Just
me,
before
Marble
my time.
Blast and Spy Kids 3,
Also, they
Made in the
often
same
had,
font.
what was it,
Hand.
Dinosaur 2, Dino Man, Dino something. You know, listeners, somebody fucking email
Do you
me.
mean Turok?
Or send,
Or like-
no, not
No, okay.
Turok. You fuck.
Sorry, Michelle.
I think that was Nintendo 64.
Yeah, it was.
But there was a game. There was a dinosaur who's from the future somehow,
Land
and then
Before
he gets
Time.
sent back in time, and he has a little laser pistol.
Jurassic Park.
I've got it. Yeah, it's Jurassic Park.
yeah.
And then there
They
was
really
a
do move
sequel
in
where it's a
herds.
pterodactyl who has like a sonic cannon on his back.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
And it's Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Tails? Tails.
Tails.
Knuckles the Hedgehog.
I'm in hell. Get me out of this cage.
Guess how much the film made?
I'm going to put money on,
120 million.
100.
More.
More.
150?
200?
Yeah.
200 million?
200 million. It's
Wow.
Spy Kids,
Hell
yeah.
But it's Spy Kids 3.
Yeah, but Spy Kids 2
I'm
was so
surprised-
fucking successful and funny.
I'm surprised it took so long to do Spy Kids 4 then. With like
yeah.
38 million and then
Wow.
200 million
But did
profit.
they-
Yeah, well, because Robert Rodriguez didn't want to make it anymore,
Oh, okay.
and
I can tell
Alex
that.
Vega was getting too old. She was outgrowing Carmen. She was
Yeah.
like, I don't want to play this role anymore.
fair. That's
And
fair.
so, like, they made fucking Spy Kids 1 2001, Spy Kids 2 2002, and this 2003. So they pumped it out in 3 years.
Yeah, and then
then he
Alexa
was
Vega
like,
went on to have exactly the illustrious career she was gunning
Huge
Certainly
career.
did.
Can I share the one Rodriguez fact that I adore about
for.
the
Your
movie?
own piece of trivia.
Yeah, it's my own piece of
Oh
trivia.
my God.
He just like brings his guitar to set
That's
and
nice.
sits around playing guitar while people set up shots, which I think is really
Oh.
sweet.
That's really sweet and delightful.
I learned that about him because he directed an episode of The Mandalorian, and I saw him talking about it. And yeah, he just like sits around playing music on his guitar.
One of the special features on, I think, Planet Terror, but it might be a different one of his movies, is him teaching the audience how to make a Mexican-style breakfast burrito. And I kind of just really love
He
that.
seems
remember
like
that.
a cool guy.
Yeah.
Well, this is actually really sweet. This isn't part of my trivia, but something I did read about Spy Kids. Obviously he made all of the characters like Mexican because that's his own heritage and it's very important to him. And he was really excited to have Alex Vega come in, a young Latin American girl going to play the lead in Spy Kids. And he took her to go see Mission Impossible before they started filming.
That's
He
cool.
leaned over to her in the cinema and pointed to Tom Cruise and said, "You're going to be way cooler than him." And like that's just so sweet. I love the idea that he wanted to like pump up this girl to be an action hero in a new film. It's so wholesome.
So wholesome. Oh my god.
Yeah. Do you guys want to hear some reviews?
I would love to.
Well,
I've
too
always
bad. Bye. And then you just hear the door open and close.
Oh, wait, I'll insert Foley here.
No, you just hear a gunshot.
Well, now I've got to do it with the gunshot. Oh my god.
Bye.
Oh my god.
Rotten Tomatoes gives this film 45%, which is pretty high. The website's
Lot of
critical
sevens.
consensus.
Yeah.
The website's critical consensus reads, "This movie will be found wanting, if not taken in, by the 3D visuals." What the fuck does that mean?
Did you just forget how to speak English?
This film will be found wanting if one is not taken in by the 3D
there
visuals.
we
I
go.
made it.
Okay, that
My
makes
brain
sense.
is
That
dying.
makes sense.
I told you, we're way past the 30-minute mark. I'm gone.
We did it. The episodes are never 30 minutes long. They're always been longer.
And have you noticed how hard the last 20 minutes is on me? Bob Longino of the Atlanta Journal wrote that the 3D process will hurt your eyes. The on-screen characters, who also wear 3D glasses, even say so when it's time to take them off. And it's true. When he gets out of the game, fucking Giggles is just like, he's just like, oh yeah, like it takes a while for the eyes to adjust.
I felt like my eyes were hurt even though I didn't have the 3D glasses. I'm not going to lie.
Also, it's fucking crazy to me that Donegan Giggles is played by Mike Judge,
Yeah.
co-creator of King of the Hill, Silicon
What?
Valley, Beavis and Butthead,
That is
Office Space. One of the best writers of the generation.
that is insane.
Jim Lane of Sacramento News called the 3D scenes murky and purple like a window smeared with grape jello.
Wow.
So descriptive. Roger Ebert gave the
Best
film
film critic.
1.5 stars out of 4, suggesting that perhaps Rodriguez was held back by the film's technical constraints.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
also
I
admitted
think
to
he's
showing
right.
disdain for the 3D gimmick, saying that the picture quality with the 3D glasses is more murky and washed out than the crisper and more colorful 2D lines.
He's right. It just, it looks bad.
Terrible.
And
Yep.
he taps into exactly what I turned over and said to my girlfriend as we started. I was like, he should have just waited another 10 years, man.
Oh my God.
We weren't ready yet.
This is what I mean by Speed Racer. It's just like, oh, it's only like that. It's not even that long, like much later.
Most of the critic reviews, they really focus on how awful visually the film is. And I mean, that's a standout quality. This guy, James Berardinelli from Real View said, "I like the movie, but I hate its presentation." And Philip Kerr for New Statesman, on the other hand, said, "The 3D stuff works pretty well."
It's good to have it, like when they say
We gotta have a balance.
gotta balance
unbiased
it.
journalism, both sides. It's good to have the perspective.
Well, here's some more perspective for you. Here is a 10 out of 10 review left on IMDb. Left by Quicksand in 2003, and it's called Insert Coin.
Do you think Quicksand's okay, or are they still falling?
I hope they're all right.
It's also a very kid-focused thing.
This isn't brain surgery. It's a freaking kids movie. It was fun. It whizzed by in 90 minutes or so. They've got my tactic here. That's all I care about as well. So I love that the idea, like this person isn't even doing a bad movie podcast. They just care about films getting over and done with. And that's really grim. It had some great one-liners, and the special effects were there to help the story, not be the story. Something George Lucas has forgotten. 10 out
Oh
of
my
10.
god. The idea, okay, I know that it's like, that's contemporary, right? This would have been the same year as Revenge of the Sith, right?
Yeah.
No,
99, 2001, 2003.
Yeah. it
Yeah,
must
yeah.
be.
Which was also very ugly CG. But it's still maybe harsh to compare this favorably to it.
This person's saying that this film was better than the prequel Star Wars films, and I just flat out don't agree.
Yeah, I don't know about
As much as
that.
I hate the prequels.
Attack of the Clones sucks, but I think this might suck more than
I
Revenge of
think
the Sith and
so.
Phantom.
Oh, definitely. At least visually. My
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%.
This is a 10 out of 10 review left by xNikki_BBANKZ69X_
69.
69 left in 2003, and the subject is "This movie is so cool."
I want that to be the whole review.
It's the age demographic.
Well, you're gonna
Yeah.
be really pleased with this first line.
Okay.
I have seen this movie, and it's really cool.
Yes!
The idea of making this movie 3D was really good because it makes you feel like you're in the movie, and because it's set as a game, it's more effective.
Yeah.
I'd like to know what happens when the DVD comes out. Will it be 3D? And if so, how do we get the glasses? 10 out of 10.
Some logistic problems.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
I like that it poses a very feasible question at the
Yeah,
end.
it does.
And this is a 10 out of 10 review left by Fran Blancu in 2018. The best movie. I am a single father of 3 children. I raise them and I show them affection every day. They do their best to please their father, but I will never love them as much as I love this movie.
Whoa.
10 out of 10.
Whoa. Before the ending, I'm like, this is Robert Rodriguez. And then, but actually, maybe
What?
Never love them as much as I love this movie.
That's his tag online.
a hard turn at the end.
Yeah.
It was a very
Into-
hard. I
into
was
villainy.
not, expecting that.
Well, that was their review. What were your reviews?
I did like how a lot of the critics focused on the 3D, but I don't think enough appreciation was given to how bad the writing is, which was pretty abysmal even compared to the first 2 Spy Kids movies. One of my favorite bits that I had written down is like, it's revealed that the beta testers aren't what they seem. In the game, they're cool, they're strong, they're smart. And then they see them in the real world, and one of them's like, I'm not cool, and the other one's like, I'm not strong. And then the guy who was a dork in the game is like, yeah,
I'm not that smart.
I'm not really smart.
But he's cool.
But he was cool as
He
hell.
was wearing a leather
He
jacket.
was wearing a leather jacket, had his hair slicked back.
Yeah.
Apparently, in real life, he's like an R&B singer or a
Oh my
hip-hop
God,
guy.
really?
Wow.
Like, how did he even fake being smart? And why not just have him be cool? It's so weird and just doesn't make any sense. But it was crazy. And I think the fatal error at the ending, which did have the very joyous everyone coming together, there's like the lower third titles. And then Ralph, the little bug insect thing that I had as a toy.
Me too.
I love it.
I loved it.
But then he crawls across the screen and he looks in the camera and then he shows his really human teeth. Until that point, it was maybe like a 6 for me. That brings it all the way down, crashing to a 4. Nah, those human teeth should not be in that robot beetle in any way. 4.
Gaden,
Fuck that.
what did you think about the teeth?
they are very big teeth.
They are big teeth.
I just was delighted to see Ralph again because I forgot that I had him as a kid.
Well, he was also dead at the end of the second film.
Yeah.
yeah.
So it was relieving to see him appear again in the
It made me
third.
happy. I think what's the rating online is 4.3.
4.3.
I think it's better than that. Like, I think it's got enough going on for kids where, like, it's fun. But I also can't get past that it looks like Robert Rodriguez shot it in his backyard. And I hated looking at it.
Yeah.
But I will say, to your point, Abby, I appreciate that it was 90 minutes. Like, tight, quick
Now you get
90
where we're
minutes.
coming from, man.
And it
Yeah.
zipped by. I hate this
It
trend
wasn't
in
2.5
movies.
hours Sex in the City too, all
Exactly.
right?
I hate
I've never gotten over that. That's how I started 2021.
It's been
was watching
over
that
a
film,
year,
and I
it's
was like,
still, like,
2021's
your
going to be shit. Yeah. I remember like clenching the pillow next to me because I needed some kind of release.
We watched it together. You looked like you were going to storm off.
Yeah.
and I mean, I hate that trend now that like every movie, like, the new 90 minutes is 2 hours and 30 minutes. No, 90 minutes is good. So I'm going to give it 4.4 because I think it's just a little bit better.
Nice.
But I also hated looking at it for 90 minutes.
I'm
But I'm
with-
glad it was 90 minutes.
I'm with you, man. I just, look, again, it's toleration. It was quick. I love Spy Kids, so I was able to enjoy it, and still I could get into the world. And even though it was like visually fucked up, I have such an affection for Spy Kids. I could have watched this again. It was so fucking buck wild. I enjoyed it. I was almost savoring it because I was like, what fucking bullshit are they gonna pull out of his hairy ass next?
It was inventive.
Yes.
I never knew what the next thing was
very
going to
Exactly.
be.
Tiny cars go into big cars. That's why it has to be a 4.
And when we started this podcast, it's films like this that I was hoping to watch, you know, really fun, batshit crazy nonsense. So for that, I'm going to give it a 4.8 out of 10.
What I think is the funniest is that I was going to give it the highest rating before the teeth. Because I stand by it's a 6. I don't agree that it's a 4.4 or a 4.8. It's a 6.
I feel bad about giving it a lower
But then
score
there
now.
is human teeth in a robot beetle. It's 4.
You don't need to feel shame. This is
No,
a safe
I
space. Trust me.
I did enjoy watching it, drinking a couple of red wines.
Remember that
good.
our 5 is a good year. You like it's always worth
very
reminding
true.
that to both the audience and the guest. You know,
very
that is
true.
the barometer. Is it better or worse than a good year?
But it's like that's okay. Actually, when we think about the good year barometer, it's a flawed barometer because when you're saying is it better than a good year, no. But would I watch it over a good year? Yes.
I mean, I think what you're saying is that assigning movies an arbitrary number value which is I think the thesis of the podcast, is bad.
I would agree with that.
I don't know whether
Yeah,
that
what
means...
we're saying is that these films don't deserve to be in the bottom 250.
I don't know whether that means that our podcast, we're admitting openly that it's kind of flawed, or if we're on the other side and we're going, no, we're championing this idea.
I
throughout
don't
the
think we've
course of
ever
it.
claimed to be perfect on this podcast. Let's put it that way. We
You
admit that
haven't.
we're flawed.
Michelle is perfect.
Gaden has.
Yeah, I came in
Yeah.
here straight out of the gate. Hi, I'm Gaden. I'm
Well, guys, that was Spy Kids 3. D.
game over.
Don't forget to follow us on social media. You can find us on Twitter at Rate Descend Pod. You can find us on TikTok on Rating Descending, or you can email us at ratingdescending@gmail.com.
I've loved all the recent emails. I've been reading them. I'd like shout out to people who've been sending emails recently. It's been so good.
It's been lovely.
But you can also follow us and find us on our own social medias. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at michelle.stclair.
You can find me on Insta under Abigail J. Ward, and
You can find me under Gaden Salad, just spelt the normal way, and it's Gaden.
Yeah.
Gaden, you have a
on
wonderful film coming out. Is there anything you'd like to plug while we've got you? Finally.
The film, yeah.
The film.
It's called Dream Again. It's the story of Jemima, a tenacious 12-year-old who sets out on a quest with her timid best friend to go and find fairies in the woods.
That's a good pitch.
Thank you.
You're so magical, Gaden.
Thank you. And you can find it if you just if you look up Melbourne International Film Festival, it's like one of the first things on their website is the VCA graduate showcase, and it's there. It's called Dream Again. It's like 13 minutes. It's a real fun watch. Michelle did an excellent job on it. Everyone I worked with was extraordinary, and it's a really fun film. And lots of other young filmmakers' films are out there, and they're all really wonderful and wonderful people.
Hell yeah. Everyone, go fucking watch it. I mean, obviously, hey, we're friends. You and I, we're hanging out. This is me streaming straight into your ear saying, like, don't worry about it. Be chill. But if you see anyone else, say, hey, go watch that. Go check it out. Melbourne International Film Festival. Seems like I've got me a couple of short, discrete units of time in which I could fit in a couple of short films.
Like an 11-minute short film about a little girl who wants to find fairies.
Yeah. Or one of the others. I don't know them.
But we're supporting local talent.
Yeah.
Well, that was Spy Kids 3D. What are we watching next week, Michelle?
Next week, we are watching Urban Legend Final Cut.
Oh, sounds
So excited.
fucking weird. Gaden,
The final cut?
No, it's Urban Legend Final Cut, which is not a different cut of Urban Legend. It's
okay.
a sequel to a movie called Urban Legend.
Oh, I see. I'm
Yeah.
excited to listen to it.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to watch this. Guys, I've already watched half of it, and we're in for a hell of a fucking time.
Gaden,
I'm so
thank
into
you
it.
so much for joining us.
Thank
You're
you.
a treasure, a delight, and a very Fae-like man.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a dream come true. I listen to a lot of podcasts, including yours, and I've always wanted to be on one. So thank you so much for having me. It's been a delight.
It's been an honor.
Been great, and you managed to make it through the whole time without. Did you just fart? Okay,
That's it, bye.